Hey, it's editing Nico right here. And I just want to say, I'm looking at Twitter right now, and what Multimac posted is a very good thing. He has a very good point in this, and I think this should happen. Anyway, enjoy the video. Guess what the video is about? Stomp. It's that time of the week. You know what that means? A new twab. And hey, I know that the changes seems really cool, but I want to say something very fast. I play all classes. I like to play around with different exotics, and just because this one exotic gets nerfed, that doesn't mean I'm in the wrong or I'm in the right. So if you haven't read the armor changes, Stompies is getting a rework. Removed airborne effectiveness penalties because for some reason Stompies was the only exotic to get a penalty. The movement based exotic that gives you increased jump. Hold on. Let me actually read what the Stompy buffs are. So if you have the boots called Stomp Ease equipped, you get a increased sprint speed by 6.25%, increase slide distance by 33%, height jump 9 meters to 12 meters, a 33% increase, strafe jump 8 meters to 9 meters, a 10% increase, triple jump first jump is 6 to 7, so a 16% increase, and the second jump is 9 to 11, which is a 22% increase. And when they implemented the AE changes, they gave it a minus 50 AE. So let's say you wanted to build around AE. Before they did the changes to AE, you needed to get 70 to remove all penalties to primaries. That means you need to get somehow on a hunter a whopping 120 AE if you wanted to remove all of it. Now, most guns are around the 20-25 range on AE by base. And yeah, there is literally no way possible to remove all the penalties. So if you choose to go Stompies, there is literally no way to build around it. Now, the best I could build was an Austringer with 50 AE base, and that was just 50 of it. So I remove all the Stompy penalties, which means I base around 0. Now I can add a seasonal mod that gives me something on top of other things, but in reality is I will never get anywhere close to it. So they said, hey guys, we're gonna make the changes a little bit less. I don't remember exactly what it is, but at least you can hit shots more consistently. The only way this impacts your gameplay is you're not gonna hit less shots. That's the one thing I figured. If you have good aim, you're gonna hit your shots, but you're only going to hit body shots, because what happens is the cone will prioritize the body over the head, even if your dot is centered on his forehead. Now, Stompy's change is remove all airborne effectiveness penalties. You only gain increased slide, speed, and improved jumping while your dodge energy is full. So what this means is now has to have a downtime with 30 seconds with 0 mobility, which is not really how it's going to be on a hunter. Reality is you're going to have 100 mobility, which means you have around 18, 16 second cooldown on your dodge. You can run on top of that some Kickstarter mods. I don't know how well those work anymore because I kind of stopped using them, but there are ways to work around it. But basically it means whenever you engage in a fight dodge, you're not going to have your movement speeds up anymore, which I mean, this is a fair change. Keep in mind, the only reason this is getting changed is because 70% of hunters use Stompies or used to use Stompies. And now I have a lot of things to say about this. I don't have a problem with Stompies themselves. They're a completely fine and balanced exotic. Now, keep in mind, Warlocks has transversive steps, which doesn't have any AE penalties, but it has the same movement speed increase. The only difference is you reload after 1.5 seconds for sprinting. So if you sprint for 1.5 seconds, you reload your weapon. And you have Dune Marchers, which gives you the same bonuses, but it also has a second thing, where it gives you chains. If you ever get killed by a chain from a Titan who punches another player, it's because he has Dune Marchers equipped. What a surprise. Now this exotic is getting nerfed as well, thank God, because it's a movement-based exotic that gives you benefits, which Stompies doesn't have. So why is Stompy getting nerfed? Now, I'm not gonna say anything about it because ever since I stopped using Stompies, I realized hunters have so many more fun exotics to use. Like one of my personal favorite is Gemini Jesters for radar manipulation, but let's just talk about this. Whenever they nerfed Stompies the first time, whenever you couldn't hit shots whatsoever in the air with them, what happened was every single person in the game went to Omni Oculus. And this exotic was so broken, they nerfed it really, really bad. It went from, what was it, a 50% damage resistance invisible, aka you could tank a headshot from a chaperone, a slug shotgun that should one-shot you at any times. You could survive it with 1 HP, because if you had 100 resilience, you would have 100 and 201 health, and it would do 200 health. And then you would see a lot of worm husks, which has never really been like, you've always seen worm husks. Ever since it was added, it's always been one of those exotics that's been broken, and they've nerfed it several times. But now we're seeing the wave of young Umkar's spine, and I don't have a problem with this in PvE whatsoever. This should stay as strong as it is in PvE. The only difference is they should nerf it in PvP, because it is so strong. It is unbelievably strong. It's the best exotic for hunters at the moment, and in my opinion, it's the best exotic in the game. It locks up areas, it gives you free kills, it gives you infinite grenades, and the grenade has more health than a guardian. Okay, but my opinions on the nerf is, I don't have a problem with it. Fine, nerf stompies. If you want people to use more obnoxious exotics, that's fine with me. But don't say anything to me when everyone's complaining about exotics on Hunter, because they have a lot of good ones. And I know what Bungie wants to do. They want people to play with more variety, and that's fair. That is kind of what a game like Destiny should go for. If everyone just uses the same loadout, it gets really bland and boring, and I get that. But the best meta was when everyone was using Stompies, T-Steps, Dune Marchers, Hankin, Sniper, Shoddy. Yeah, that's my opinion on that. What I think a better change with Stompies would be was just to remove it. Now, let's talk about the most used exotics currently. Let's look at trial stats. So, Bungie has done a really good thing by making Titans obnoxiously good. Decreased the usage rate of hunters by a whopping 20%. It used to be around 60 to 50%. Now it's at 37. Titans now have a 33 player base, which, I mean, it used to be around 20, which it hasn't really changed, and Warlocks have gotten a massive increase. I'm surprised by this, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me for the map, because it was a horrible weekend. The second most used weapon is No Time, the fifth most used was Jade Rabbit, and the seventh most was Le Monarch. And Le Monarch is a whole nother video, but please, Bungie, for the love of God, nerf Le Monarch. But since Titans have the best exotic for SMGs in the game, and since they're probably one of the strongest weapons in the game currently, it's not a surprise that we see a high usage rate on Arc Titan specifically, because Arc Titan is just the superior Titan class because it requires the least amount of skill. Void Titan requires a little bit more brain, and it's really strong. It's good for having basically infinite health. Solar Titan is really mid. Strand Titan, it's more of a dad game style. And Stasis Titan is for the stream snipers and me, myself. Hunters, 14% solar. That's pretty high for solar, because it used to be 90% on Void. But the main reason we see so many is because Young Umkaras is really, really busted. Void Hunter, it used to be really good, but it's gotten nerfed a few times, so you don't have radar anymore. I'm surprised Strand only has 5%, and Stasis is 2%, probably the strongest subclass for Hunters, and Arc at a whopping 2%. And then you have Warlocks, 18.5 is on Solar, which doesn't surprise me because of the map. 5.5 is Void, 2.8 is Arc, 2.2 is Strand, and 1.8 is Stasis, and it's also the best subclass on Warlock. Now let's look at usage rate on exotics. So 15%, which is also the most used exotic on any class. This is the most used exotic total. Ophidian Aspect, 15%. Stompies, 10%. Dune Marchers, 9.6%. Worm Husk 6%, and Young Umkars on 6%. I'm not going to go down the list because it's T-Steps, PK, Synthos, Antius, One-Eyed, Paragon, Armamentarium, Osteomancy, Oathkeeper, Starfire, and 6 Coyote. Now, you heard here. Stompies is still the second most used exotic, and they're nerfing again, for that reason specifically, which is gonna lead to Young Umkar getting nerfed sooner or later. Trust me, it will happen, but when? I don't know. The sooner the better. Ophidian Aspect is getting the nerf. They just removed the melee lunge. But I have a thing I want to say about this. Let's read the dev insight, what they said. So, Ophidian Aspect. Remove the extended melee lunge. Dev commentary. The extended melee range created some strange situations where players' melee lunge would cause them to flicker in high latency scenarios. this exotic still retains many strong natural game benefits, like good reload and really good handling, so it's good for shotgunning. But the reason they said is it makes them flicker at high latency scenarios when they're meleeing. Bungie, good change, because that's what everyone wanted gone, the melee launch. But I tweeted about this, and if you want to follow me on my Twitter to see what I complain about, you should follow me on Twitter. So I tweeted out, so why do we keep offensive bulwark, syntheseps, knockout, and lethal current melee lunges then? I might have missed something, aka other melee lunges. I'm just wondering because it happens with all of them. I'm just curious. So the only time you're really going to see flickering on people is if they're really high ping or if they're using a melee based aspect, exotic, or fragment. And every class has this. The only problem is warlocks don't really have any anymore. So I said offensive bulwark, which is Titan, syntheseps, Titan, knockout, which is Titan, and lethal current, which is Arc Hunter. Well, if any Bungie devs want to come at me, I would really love to interview any of you guys. I just want to see some insights. Come at me. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is Dune Marchers. Reduce the range of the chain damage from 20 meters to 12 meters and the PvP damage from 85 to 50. If you watched the video I posted yesterday, if you use Ballistic Slam on a target, it does 150 damage, I think. And if you do 85 with the chain, it means it kills them. So it's a really good way to get multi-kills, or you can just use syntheseps and one-shot all of them. But what they said, this exotic seemed a lot of use in PvP, not so much in PvE. These changes embraces that. Range on the damage change made it very easy to get killed by the exotic without ever seeing the person killing you in PvP. So we reduced the range and tuned down the damage. Yes, they nerfed the damage on a movement-based exotic. That's crazy. Now, I know you can say, oh, Dune Marcher isn't mainly a damage base, it's a, what do you call it? It's a control exotic basically, so it controls the area around you, which is fair, and it fits that role really well. But it finally got a second nerf. And the reason I'm saying a second nerf is because it used to have a very severe bug where it would just one-shot everyone. And it especially happened if it was through a barricade, because the chain would ricochet back and forth and kill them. So luckily they fixed that. But I want to understand your opinions about this. I don't think the Stompy change is that bad. You still have your dodge every 16 seconds. Of course, it's gonna matter in engagements when you're in deep, like shotgunning. Except for that, the Hunter Dodge nerf, aka Stompy nerf, is not really that big of a deal. Fun fact, you should try out Gemini Jester. It's really good for radar manipulation. Anyway, if you enjoy these type of videos, I'll make more of them, and I love all of you, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.